Hey, this is Chris with the Release Technique. And one question that I've heard over and over through the years is, what does it take to go all the way? What does it take to be totally free, all loving, imperturbable, and powerful, to just have total mastery over the world? What does it take to get there? Now, we've heard of Lester and Eckhart Tolle and Buddha and Jesus and Yogananda and Ramana Maharshi, all of these masters. We've studied their books, we've listened to them talk, we've heard everything. We've got all of the knowledge, basically. We know what it takes. We know it's about quieting the mind. It's about letting go of desires. It's about becoming all loving. But why can't I do it? See if you have this question running in your mind. Probably so, right? And see if you've been struggling with, well, what does it take? And am I ever going to get there? So let's examine this today. I want to point out three major things that are stopping us from going all the way. That when you examine it, you'll see more clearly about what you're doing with your life and with your time. And this may help you get focused and get clear about what it takes to really get there. Now, there's one thing that stops us, that gets in the way, and it's basically life. And in life, we have all of these gottas. We've got responsibilities. I got to go to work. I got to take care of my family. I got to go walk my dog. I got to go home and I got to cook dinner for everybody. I got to do this, I got to do that. And therefore, I don't have enough time to focus on freedom. See if you've got this going on in your life. Things that are carving out so much time in the day that you have no time left to really explore freedom. Now, basically, I'm just going to be blunt with this. These gottas, they're excuses. And what you're doing is you're blaming your job. And you're blaming your spouse. You're blaming your kids. You're blaming your dog. You're blaming life. And all of these gottas about why you're not doing it. Because really when it comes down to it, those things don't get in the way. There's no reason why you can't practice freedom, why you can't release, why you're doing everything. So stop blaming these things. And when you get these gottas out of the way, basically, you're no longer going to be a slave to your ego. And do you see what's going on with these gottas? So you got your mind telling you all the consequences of what's going to happen. Like if I don't do my job, if I don't go to work, then I won't make money, I won't be able to make a living, and I'm going to die. Or if I don't take care of my family, if I don't appease my spouse and do this thing and that thing, that they're not going to like me. And it's all in your mind. And what it is, when you're holding that in mind, that's a non-loving feeling that you're projecting upon your job and upon those people in your life. And they're feeling that. And that's what creates a lot of friction and tension of what's going on. You can turn that all around right now with a decision. Now, let's look at another thing that's stopping us from going all the way. And that is escapes. And take a look at the things that you like to do. Listen to music, get on the internet, maybe Facebook or online shopping, going out and socializing with friends, going on vacation, taking a trip here, there, reading books, filling yourself up with information, studying things, whatever they are. Maybe you're studying about nutrition, or this thing about the body, or this thing about lifestyle. You're looking to become a better artist, whatever. Now, here's the thing. I'm not telling you that these things are wrong. I'm not telling you not to do it. But examine. See if you have a compulsion to do these things. Or if you do them just automatically. Because this is what happens with a lot of escapes. Maybe at one time we did it, or certain times we do it and it's really fun and engaging, we're totally involved with it. But a lot of the other times we're doing it, we're just kind of doing it robotically, just because. And a lot of times these things that we do, we're doing it just because we don't know what to do with our time. And we use it to fill up our time. And even deeper than that, we're using our escapes to run from our feelings. So we try to put more knowledge in our head. Or we listen to music. And what is that all about? Basically, we have noise in our mind, a lot of negativity that's in there, and a lot of negative feelings. So we distract ourselves from that by focusing on this thing or that thing, or turning up the music, or getting out and talking with friends. And we, get into a place where there's a lot of visual stuff and, things to, that's going on. Even going, to Hawaii and seeing a big, beautiful sunset and going snorkeling and looking at all the fish. And basically that's just a bunch of stimuli that is taking our attention away from ourselves. But just examine that for a moment. You see, the worst punishment that you can give somebody is to put them into solitary confinement. Right? See, imagine if you were put into a room with no distraction and nothing interesting to focus on. All you had to do is just be there with yourself. You had to be there day in and day out like that. That'd be a pretty miserable experience, right? And why? Because you'd have to sit with all of your feelings. You have to listen to all that garbage that your mind is telling you. But imagine now if that wasn't there. And what you had inside of you constantly was a powerfully positive, loving, harmonious feeling. A feeling of connectedness with everything. And totally being engaged in the present moment. Just now, now, now. Totally alive, alert, aware, present. How wonderful would that feel? How powerful would you feel? How positive and loving would you feel? That would be pretty awesome, wouldn't it? And why would you want to escape from that? So here's the question. Why not get to that? If you see that there's a lot of fear, a lot of anger, a lot of grief, a lot of apathy that's inside of you that you don't like to feel, and that's why we spend so much time doing things so we don't have to address that stuff that's inside of us. If you're aware that you have that inside of you, why not do what it takes to take it out? And you see, now that we're looking at these things, it's starting to become clear about what's stopping you from going all the way. See, it's really looking at your habits, the things that you're doing otherwise. Now let's look at a third thing that's in the way of just going all the way, doing it. And that is a belief, a feeling deep inside that I cannot. And you know what? That's a bunch of nonsense. But we're still doing it. we hear Lester's story, that he did it all in 3 months. And we say, well, that's good for Lester. It's because he had a heart attack. It's because of this. It's because of that he did it. But I can't do it. I'm not in the same position that he was in. Lucky for Lester, unlucky for me. That's our feeling. Or we hear like Buddha, he did it in 1 day. Eckhart Tolle did it overnight. And we look at those people, and again, we say, lucky for them. They must have been in a special place. They must have been close already. Garbage. See, here's the thing. It doesn't matter what they did. What matters is what you do. So let's release on this now so you can get clear. But first, if you are in a position now where you're ready to just focus in, you know what? I'm doing it. I see where Lester's coming from. I've heard Eckhart Tolle. It resonates with me. I want to be in that place. Now, first, it starts with the decision. Are you ready to do that? Are you willing to do that? And when are you willing to do that? Now, if your answer is yes, and I'm willing to do it now, then I've got the perfect opportunity for you. It's called the 90-Day Quiet Your Mind program. And the whole program is specifically designed to knock out these obstacles to going free. And you see that these obstacles are there. So what we're going to do in the 90-day program for you is focus in specifically on escapes. We're going to spend a period of time so you can look at all these escapes. And again, not to make them wrong, but to get clear and decide, you know what? I'm not going to do these things compulsively. If I do these things, I'm going to do them with presence and with free will. And you know what's really cool when you come from that place is that when you're present with doing an escape, it's not an escape because you're present. And when you're present with it, you can actually enjoy it fully. Instead of in the back of your mind thinking, oh, I shouldn't do this, I should be doing something else, and all that stuff. So that's a huge benefit. You're going to actually enjoy these things so much more when you do it from free will rather than from your ego. So that's one thing we're really going to focus in so you can get clear on that in the 90-day program. Another thing we're going to focus in on all these gathas. So all of these things that your mind is telling you, all the dire consequences that will happen if you don't do this thing, you don't do that thing. Someone's going to be pissed at you if you don't do it, right? You're going to take all that stuff off the table. So again, you have free will. And you could decide to do it or not to do it. And through that decision is the only way you're going to find the truth about whether you have to do it or not. That's how you're going to discover the truth, that everything is your picture. And you're going to be able to fall into what Lester and Larry calls the butt system, where you don't got to do anything except just sit on your butt and release the negativity. And you have a wonderful, abundant life with ease. But you got to be willing to step into that. And you can do that with the 90-day. That's what we're really going to focus in on. We're also going to focus in on these I can'ts. So you don't have this nonsense playing in your mind anymore, and it's just a sound in your head. So let's start releasing on that now. So we can start cleaning up these I can'ts, and you can start seeing, you know what, I really can. And then you can step up and do it now. All right, so think of a cannot that you have. And maybe you have a cannot that sounds like, well, I got to work for a living. I got to do my job. I got to do these things. I got to basically be a slave and do this stuff. And I have no choice in that. I got to go to work every day. Now, first of all, see if it brings up some resistance to that. Because to be perfectly honest, there's really only a handful of us that like working. And those of us that like it, we can even let that go. But most of us don't like it. So welcome up that resistance. Any resistance that you have to working. And just measure yourself on a scale of 0 to 10. 10 being the most resistant, 0 being the least resistant. And just see where you're at. And wherever that is, that resistance, could you say yes to that resistance so you can let it go? See, most of the time when that feeling comes up, it doesn't feel so great. It's not a positive feeling, resistance. We don't like it. And this is why we escape, why we distract ourselves with all these gathas, so we don't have to feel this stuff. It kind of drowns it out with all this other noise. But let's do something different now. Instead of saying no to that resistance, just say yes to it so we can leave. And could you say yes to that resistance even more so we can leave? And could you say yes to that resistance even more? And even more. 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 And could you say yes to it even more? And even more. Now check yourself on that scale of 0 to 10. See if you moved. Now if there's any resistance remaining, let go pushing down on it now. Just allow it to come up. Open up. Just open up an imaginary door and imagine that energy, that resistance just moving right on out the door now. Just watch it leave. And even more. And even more. And even more. And see if you feel lighter, more positive now. And see if that I can't isn't as strong as it was a moment ago. See if it's less true. Now this is how you dissolve these I can'ts. And there's nobody who can do it but you. See, there's no method out there that's just going to magically tap you on the head and make you go free. If you really desire freedom, nobody can do it for you but you. And right here is showing you that you can do it. So think of another I can't. What's stopping you from going all the way? And maybe there's a feeling like I've got too many feelings. My mind's so noisy. Maybe I've meditated for 10 years. Maybe I've been releasing for a while. And I've let stuff go for sure. And I've gotten nice and peaceful for sure. But there's more behind it. And it's just endless. See if you have something like that going on in your mind. Well, how are you going to get to a destination unless you keep your feet moving? So the choice is, are you going to stop or are you going to start? So just get in touch with this sound in your head that says there's just too much there. You got a story in your head now. And see, again, if you have resistance to this story. And see if you have resistance to your own feelings and resistance to your noisy mind. All right, well, as long as you have that resistance, you're keeping that mind noisy. And that resistance is making those feelings stronger and stronger. It's stuffing more stuff in. Let's turn it around. Bring up that resistance. Say yes to that resistance so you can let that resistance go. And say yes to this resistance even more so you can let it go. And say yes to this resistance even more. And say yes to it even more. And even more. And even more. And just say yes to that resistance more. And say yes to it even more. And say yes to it even more. And even more. And even more. And now, if you're feeling it come up, let it come up. Allow it to arise. Let it get stronger even. Just let it all come up. Just open up, get out of the way, and just let all of it just pass through. Just see it as energy passing through. And even more. And even more. And even more. Just watch it leave. You don't need to do anything, but just observe it. Just watch it leave. And just say, I love you, resistance. I love you. I give you permission to leave. I love you. I love you. I really, really love you. And notice how you feel. See if that mind, that noisy mind now, see if it's quieter, calmer, settled. See if you feel more peaceful and more positive, loving. So this is proof that you can. Stop listening to the mind. Stop telling yourself, I cannot. And make a decision. Examine what it is that you're doing with your life and with your time. And notice most of it, it's just a bunch of nonsense. Why not make a decision to get to the place where you have nothing but positive, empowered thoughts and feelings, where you are in total control of your mind, your body, and your world. Now, nobody can do that for you. There's no guru, there's no method that can just tap you on the head and just magically make everything perfect in your life. That's a mistake to think that way. You see, there's only one way to do it, and it's for you to do it. If you want freedom, you're the one who has to do it. The good news is that there's a thing here that is the perfect tool for you to grasp onto and do it. And it gives you total, incredible support that walks right along with you, step by step, to get freer, empowered, and happy. So it's your choice. So join us if you're really interested in freedom. If you're serious about stop mucking around with the world and with problems and with negativity. Get to the place of being happy, really being a beacon of light in the world. If you'd like to do that, then join us on the 90-day program. You can do it.